What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Espresso, and welcome back to another video here today on the channel. In this one, we're going to be talking about zombies. We recently did a video about the storyline and the meaning of Ascension, whether there will be a DLC 5 and some remakes or remasters at some point in Black Ops 3 and all that, but regardless, I've been kind of on a zombies kick right now, so here's to hoping that you don't mind we take a little break from our normal content as of late, and we talk about zombies. For those that may know, I'm an absolute lover of zombies, and I may be on a normal day a multiplayer guy, and for some reason some people just don't really like that. They don't have the care for both multiplayer and zombies, and sometimes have problems with the crossovers, and I'm just like, I just want to like the story. I just want to do that. But regardless, having followed the storyline since the very beginning back in World at War, I will say that the story is not only incredibly meticulous, but for many, it may not make a lick of sense up until a point. Undoubtedly early on, when there wasn't as much emphasis on the backstory, it was perhaps a lot easier to follow. Black Ops 3 for many people was a turnoff in terms of the story, though as it was in Black Ops 2 and the introduction of the transit crew, who was finally having a little bit more of their own tale elaborated on in the Zombies comic, which once again I mentioned in the last video. If you haven't read that already, definitely I suggest doing so. It's like $6 for both the current issues, I think. I'm looking back at some of these stuff, and there's some key stuff and points in here that I've held off for fear of spoilers, so I guess we'll see where that goes. But regardless, with the inclusion of the multiverse theory after Moon, it gets rather complex. So probably Black Ops 2 to Black Ops 3 in that time frame is when people start to lose a little bit of the comprehension of the storyline and the story arc overall. But for those of you guys that have played Black Ops 3 and stuck with these zombies for a while, the narrative with it, you'll know the divide is clear. We start to lose focus on the whole Maxis versus Richthofen narrative and instead build off the cliffhanger of Origins, in which it really plays upon the multiverse theory. Fast forward to Revelations, we've got Monty, the Shadow Man, the reintroduction of Sophia and Maxis, whom I honestly think the send-off of that was a little bit more too cliche of a love story, and I don't feel like was a proper ending for the mysterious character and a renowned character within the lore. But the fact of the matter is that we bring all these working pieces together, and then there's not really all that much resolution. The ending is considered by many to be a cop-out, and while it does fulfill Blundell's promise of closing those brackets, is it the finalization of the storyline as we know it? I personally don't think so. So the question is now then, where do we go from here? Where does zombies progress to after Black Ops 3? To me, those brackets that Blundell talked about, though he mentioned it was all-encompassing of the story thus far, I feel like it's kind of the hard brackets around the story of Origins up until Revelations. So hard brackets around, say, Black Ops 3 and the ending of Black Ops 2, but I also feel like those brackets that were also encompassing the earlier story was kind of like soft brackets from World at War up until now. So the overarching story is kind of all intertwined with the storylines through Black Ops 3, but the real big pieces really only focus up until Black Ops 2's Origins, up until Revelations. That time frame from Origins to Revelations is built off of the previous miniverse-esque type of theory with loops and isolated time constraints. If you look at Shangri-La, there's Brock and Gary and the never-ending cycle there, and if you look at Mob of the Dead, where the escape was to break the cycle of the constant murder of Weasel, these were key and integral pieces into the shaping and the molding of Black Ops 3's storyline. The Black Ops 3 zombie storyline was made up entirely of one giant loop. Instead of finalizing the story of our characters, the children, the true villain of Monty, or the Shadow Man, because no doubt Monty is another evil entirely, all these things really, instead of getting resolved for these major questions, what did we get? But we kind of got Richthofen cracking, as you may refer to it as when Monty mentions erasing their existence in the cutscene of Revelations. He just mentions putting them somewhere else, and well, where do they end up? On the mound overlooking the people as the Origins characters, thus effectively closing the loop set by Origins and restarting it all in its own entirety. So it closes off this little bubble within the zombie storyline, but there's still a lot of things that are unanswered, and a lot of people might consider this a cop-out. So what is next? We've got so many questions. What could possibly be next for the zombie storyline? It's no surprise that Zombies is a beast of its own at this point, and honestly, if you told me that the next Treyarch title would only have zombies in campaign, I personally would be okay with that. I know a lot of people definitely would not be, and certainly a lot of the majority definitely would not be as well. Multiplayer still massively controls every single Call of Duty sale, but Zombies in its own right is something that is not near as powerful as multiplayer, but definitely is the largest third game mode presence out of any Call of Duty thus far in the franchise. Treyarch has a commanding hold on that third game mode title and what can be expected here of it, the content-wise with it. So that said, if you were to tell me this, I wouldn't be too opposed to it. I'd be alright with it, but with zombies being such an integral part of who Treyarch is, there's no way we're not getting more zombies in the next game. Granted, I personally don't think that it will be a Black Ops 4, but the game's core title and development hasn't really affected the zombie storyline overall. The only thing that can really tie in completely is that of World at War and Nazi zombies. It was initially known to be simply Nazi zombies, and therefore kind of clung on to the current developments and the time frame and setting of World at War. It was all encompassing with it, but now currently does it? Not really. So where do we go? Well, the most obvious answer would be to deal with the outstanding story elements still remaining that have yet to be resolved. There is still much within the storyline that has not been answered, and even for Black Ops 3's lineage, it set up a rather interesting take for a follow-up. Don't forget that a large majority of people thought the storyline ended with Origins, and that the ending there within described a perfect ending for the storyline. Everybody really thought at that point, the Origins cutscene, that Samantha and Eddie were telling the tales of our 4 characters, dictating them through a simple playtime between friends, and as we know, it's a lot more than just that. When the gateway to Agartha was opened up in Origins, whenever you sent up Maxis in the Maxis drone up to get Samantha to see Samantha, that's when the bleed over happened and enter the Apothicans in the entirety of the Monty story arc. So what seems to be a resolution turned out to be only the beginning, and that's already happened. That was something that with Black Ops 3 once again kind of fooled some people, but if you take a look at it, it makes sense to see where it was the start now that Black Ops 3 is over. So could this happen again? Absolutely. And not to mention that this time around, there's too much to me that stands out as unresolved, most notably Monty himself and his storyline. Why was he, apart from perhaps twisted rhetoric, made out to be just as evil and deceptive as the Shadow Man, if not even more so? And why are there ciphers and little hidden key pieces and all that that point to maybe the Shadow Man and Richtofen working together to bring some pieces that we've never seen this side of the story to light? Why would it be something like that if there's no plans to continue that storyline? Additionally, why introduce a character with such a tone and such a cocky attitude of "you can't do anything ever to beat me," and that has rather apparent flaws that he can't see the workings of Richtofen and the back shady deals where he's going behind Monty's back in the supposed plan that is laid out for everybody? There are things that Monty does not know that Richtofen and the rest of the crew does, so why introduce him that is such a supposed powerful figure? Why introduce him and not really give too much other than what we know so far of Monty, and seemingly only make the scapegoat of Black Ops 3 out to be the Shadow Man? I mean, the Shadow Man was only in Shadows of Evil and Revelations, and really what real bad things did the Shadow Man do other than maybe being the Apothicon Overlord, which I guess looking at it is definitely something that is pretty bad in the grand scheme of things, but in the storyline, he didn't have too much explained about him. There was no backstory, there was nothing that really gave us a reason to hate them. There was no driving force behind his character that really said, this is why he is the bad guy, this is why you should go after him, and really we just kind of went into Shadows and Revelations thinking, well, I guess he's the bad guy, I guess we should take him down. There's nothing really that puts that on a pedestal above, say, Monty, and there's definitely more than meets the eye with Monty, and if there wasn't something more, why would we first be formally introduced to him in Grod Krovi, the second to last map of the entire story? It just doesn't add up. That's such a main, integral, and big piece of the storyline that we know so far, the supposed out for everything, the all-powerful being that created the mystery box, the perk machines, the wall buys, all that good stuff. Why was he introduced in the last 2 maps and then just put there for resolution's sake? Especially with the backstory that we're slightly getting about Monty, where he doesn't know everything, where he feels like he has more power than he does, and where the Shadow Man and him go way back, and really from all the different ciphers and all the different clues that we have that might point to him being a little bit evil, why introduce him in the second to last map? It just doesn't make sense to me. So where do we go from here? I honestly think that we pick up from the Black Ops 3 storyline. We may have completed this cycle, but there certainly is more to be done. Otherwise, it might be just a cop-out and is something that fans wouldn't be too pleased with, in my opinion. So maybe we pick up with Monty being the main antagonist of Black Ops 4, if we want to just theoretically call it that. I don't think it's going to be Black Ops 4 for the record, but just to make it clear, I think the next game we might pick up with Monty being the main antagonist, maybe lay it out a little bit more specifically and not as elaborate and complex so as to lose the interest of many players, but make him the main villain and maybe introduce something towards the end that maybe sets up another game, because once again, zombies is something that Treyarch is known for. They're not just going to get rid of it because, well, one storyline ended. Now, it's going to keep going on, and I think we're going to be seeing zombies for a long time, but where do we go from here? I think that might be it. Otherwise, maybe the other option is if Treyarch creates a new World at War game or a new World War II title in general, bring back Nazi zombies and create a whole new world, create an entirely alternate narrative, use the multiverse theory to your advantage, whatever it may be. Definitely, I think that might be the alternate option, but I definitely think that Black Ops 3 storyline picking up from there is where we go in the future, and we see maybe some resolution with Monty, because I definitely don't think he's done here. He's too big a character, and there's still way too much unknown about him than what we're just told. So that said, that's gonna wrap it up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This has been kind of on my mind recently. I wanted to bring my thoughts and feelings here on it with you guys. Once again, I love zombies. It's probably what I've played the most with. Maybe not within Black Ops 3, because I absolutely loved Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 2, the multiplayer and everything, but overall I've played an insane amount, and especially recently it's been a lot of fun. And I really wanted to get my thoughts here out on this. What could we see next? Love to hear your thoughts, though. If you guys have anything different down there in the comment section down below, feel free to add it, whatever it may be. Drop it down there in the comments. And if you guys did make it this far and you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below. Of course, if you guys are new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing as well to stay up to date with everything Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare Mastered, and Call of Duty Zombies in general. So thank you, dudes, so much for watching. My name is COD, so I'll see you guys later. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. Take care, and peace.